we doing?
Hanging out, getting buzzed.
Mixtape is a coming-of-age action-adventure game about three friends on their last night together, and they listen to this perfectly curated mixtape containing music from Devo and Joy Division and Lush and Smashing Pumpkins and a whole bunch of incredible music that takes them on these reveries of their formative moments together. And through gameplay, through music, you relive their finest hours.
It felt important at the time.
Hello, I'm Johnny Galvatron. I'm the creative lead at Beethoven and Dinosaur, and today we're talking about Mixtape. Mixtape definitely started with the idea of the music first, and Devo, That's Good, which has been the number one on my Spotify playlist for 5 years in a row, and every single day I hear it, and every single day I like it even more. So the music that went into it, I think, is like inspired by my musical career. I got a record deal when I was 21 and toured with Def Leppard and Cheap Trick and played, everywhere from the worst pub you've ever seen in Geelong in Australia to Hyde Park in London with the Police, and collecting all the music along the way. I really wanted to show how that music made me feel and use the medium of video games to try and express things that aren't usually expressed, like betrayal or freedom or the feeling of rebellion. And I love to try and get abstract concepts across through the medium of gaming, and that's what drove Mixtape. Mixtape has three main protagonists. The one you play as most of the time is Stacey Roxy.
My mixtapes bend others to my will. It's a strange, almost cosmic talent.
And she wants to be a musical supervisor, which is someone who picks the score and the sound for music or TV. And that really helps too when you're trying to secure the rights to music, when you ring up a music supervisor and say, hey, we're making a game about someone who wants to be a music supervisor. It really helps you along the way. She's really just inspired by people I know throughout the music industry and what you're like when you're 17 and you judge everyone by what kind of music they listen to. I know I was absolutely guilty of that. And then we have Vance Slater. While the people around him have these grand ambitions of what they do with his life, I love the idea that he read this book about someone who studied their insects in their garden, this lady from London who just studied this one patch of her garden for years, and she found all these different kinds of bugs, had this amazing input of science. So he loves the idea that, small spaces, when carefully observed, can reveal wonders. And I love this idea that he's kind of viewed as a slacker, but really he just has this different philosophy on life and studying what's right in front of you, and the normalcy of life can be beautiful.
This year, I want to ride a flaming stallion of delinquency.
Yes!
What's your name again?
And then you have Cassandra Marino, who is the sheriff's daughter in a state of classic rebellion, and is a lot of the catalyst for the emotional heights and lows of the game as she tries to find herself and break off the shackles of parental expectations.
It's time to look back on your greatest hits.
The music is a mixtape, and so is the gameplay. There's everything from skateboarding to pulling slushies. There's an amazing level where you toilet paper a house. And let me just say, I just want to say our toilet paper tech is second to none. The way you can toilet paper that house, I'm extremely proud of. And, a Grand Theft Auto, nothing on our toilet paper tech. So, yeah, there's a variety of kind of mini games. Some of them are vast and grand, like flying across fields or floating backwards through a town. Other times you're shooting bottles off cars with a slingshot. So it really is a mixtape of highs and lows of the teenage experience.
And with a soundtrack this good, it's gonna be one hell of a night.
I'd say one of the things I enjoyed most about making the game was collating the soundtrack and then getting the wheels in motion of how to get that music. I'm not saying it was The Cure, but I remember we were trying to get one song and one of the people who owned the copyright was up a mountain, and we had to send a Sherpa to go and find this guy so we could get the rights to Plain Song by The Cure. Yeah, trying to get onto Billy Corgan so we could get the Smashing Pumpkins in the game, and Billy's like, nah, I don't know. I'm like, come on, Billy, please, come on, man. I loved Melancholy. So that was definitely one of the most exciting things, was like tracking down these artists. I remember we're trying to get Roxy Music, we're trying to get More Than This, and of course like Brian Eno is in Roxy Music, and Brian Ferry, two of the greatest Brians of rock and roll. And they said, hey, Brian wants to know how it's going to be used, and I was like, which Brian? They're like, oh, we didn't ask. I'm like, I need to know what Brian was asking about this. So that was a great part of making Mixtape, just tracking down the music and picking the soundtrack. Mixtape, I think, is based on a lot of hangout films, and hangout films generally don't have overtly complex or high-risk plots. And examples of that are like Dazed and Confused is a really good... I mean, I think that's the quintessential hangout movie. No one's gonna get killed. There is no bag of money. It is about friendship, and it's about those small moments together and how important things feel when you're 17, how everything's the end of the world. And we wanted to go down that road of looking at the boredom of the teenage riot.
There have been noise complaints.
Okay. One of my favorite things about video games is the clubs that you have in your bag, right? You can use cinema, you can use music, you can use film, and then you have this extra club that no one else has, which is gameplay. And when you get those things to all line up and hit a crescendo, where that music hits, the story hits, the gameplay accentuates it, grabs it in your hands, that's when I think everything comes together, and that's the magic of gaming. And I think there's a few high points that I don't want to give away, but there's a few crescendos throughout the game that I think we hit out of the park, and that's when I think games are special. I think if you really love hangout movies like Dazed and Confused or Ferris Bueller's Day Off, or you're really into Wayne's World, I think that a lot of those references that you will get into Mixtape. And I think game-wise, it's hard to draw some comparisons to what it is. I think it's a weird mishmash of different things. I think maybe like What Remains of Edith Finch is something you could draw on. Obviously, it's tonally whiplash from that game. But like I said, it's a mixtape of craziness, of music, of different emotions, of different eras even, and a different gameplay. Mixtape, it's coming very soon, wishlisted on Steam. You're going to be able to play it on Xbox and on Game Pass Day 1, PlayStation, Epic, wherever. Sega Dreamcast, please go out and play it. Thanks very much.
Mixtape. Nothing but the hits.